Here we go. This one is a little bit similar to some of the others we've done, but a slight difference. This time we're going to be watercoloring an embossed image. Okay, so I'm going to show you a couple of samples. We're about to do this one, so I'll show you that in just a moment. This is another one. This one has been embossed in black embossing powder and then colored very, very simply with the tip of one of the finer watercolor pens or aqua painters, water painters, whatever you want to call those. They're actually called water painters, so hopefully that's helpful if you go looking for them. This one was on watercolor paper. Okay, so you've got the texture of the watercolor paper there. This one is just on shimmery white cardstock, which I find a good substitute if you don't have watercolor paper, then the shimmery white is a good substitute. The other thing is, because shimmery white is very smooth, you'll get a good embossed image on this one. I think sometimes even better than on the watercolor paper. So you can certainly feel that embossed image, okay, whereas the black embossing on the watercolor paper, it's not as raised. Okay, this one certainly is more so. And this one I've used white. Okay, so let's start. So this is one of the rectangles from the Stitched Rectangles dies, and I've cut that so it's big enough to pop my stamp onto. This is the stamp I'm using. This is the set that it's from. It's called Begin With a Dream, and it's one of this year's host sets. So anytime you're putting an order in of $250 or more, this is one of the sets that you can get for free. So these are the host sets. There's also a couple of stamp sets and a pack of DSP paper, pattern paper. So if you like any of those things, the only time you can get those if you have an order of $250 or more, whether or not you are a host and you've put together a collection of orders, or if you're just placing an order yourself, you can be your own host. Okay, so that's always good to know. So I'm going to actually do this in Versamark ink. You can also use white craft ink if you don't have Versamark. So either of those works because they're pigment inks and therefore they are sticky and they allow the embossing powder to stick to them. If you haven't done embossing before, we may do embossing, if anyone likes the idea, we may do embossing as one of our CraftAlong events at some point. But there's lots and lots of embossing videos online that you can watch if you want to learn how to do it. All right, so I'm just going to pop this right here in the center. And like I said, Versamark is a clear sticky ink, so when you stamp this, you're not really going to get much of a result. I don't know if you can just see the image there. But what makes this useful is because it's sticky, the white embossing powder or whatever color embossing powder, you can do this with metallic embossing powders. You can use whatever color you like. I'm just using white for this particular one. I'm going to also use some of the elements today from our embossing kit, which makes it just a little bit easier. So I'm just going to pop this in here and I'm going to pour my embossing powder over the top. Okay, just like this. I'm being quite liberal with it. I'm just going to get my fingernail under it and then I'm going to tap off the excess. Okay, now you might be able to see it a little better now. I'm going to flick over the back to make sure we get rid of any stray pieces of powder. Okay, and then later I'll just take my plug off the end there and then pop it straight back into the little container. So it makes it really easy to keep the cleanup nice and simple. Now, if you have any stray bits over this, you do also have, oops, I forgot to use the embossing buddy, but that's okay. For those of you who haven't seen the embossing buddy, it's part of the kit, and you just smoosh that over the top of your paper before you start. So what I'm going to do is I'm just getting rid of any stray bits around here, and then I'm ready to start heat embossing with a heat tool. Okay, so I'm going to use, to hold on to it, and there is also in this little kit, there's another little brush which is great for getting rid of stray powders as well. I'm just in the habit of using my old, this is actually a watercolor brush, so but you can use the brush that's in the kit if you wish. So then we also have some reverse tweezers, which I love, and that's going to help us hold on to this so we don't burn our fingers. Let me put the lid on the embossing powder so it doesn't get bumped. And then I'm going to bring in my heat tool. And you'll notice my heat tool's on the same light that my lamp is on, so the light just came on at the same time, which is not a bad thing. All right, so I'm going to hold this and I'm going to heat it. Give me a second and let's do it. should be able to see in the middle there it's starting to turn, or to cook, if you want to think of it like that. We're basically heating our powder until it becomes shiny and hard. And it becomes whiter as well. So if you're using the metallics like silver or gold, it's very easy to see when those change. Whereas white is a little trickier, and the clear as well, they're a little harder to see. All right, I can see that's changed now. Hopefully you can see the design is shiny now as we hold it in the light. Okay. All right, so just remove my tweezers. Once you've done this, you can touch it straight away. It doesn't stay hot. And you can see that, you know, all the powder has completely gone now, and we've just left with this beautiful, hard, shiny result. Okay. Now, the good thing about embossing, if you I think this is one of the easier ways to do watercoloring, because the embossing is raised, and therefore it provides you with like a line that you can, it's much easier to stay in the lines because of the raised image. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get I'll use one of my fine point ones, and I'm going to start with Granny Apple Green, which is a nice bright green. We'll grab some colour, and I'm going to pick this up just with the very, very tip, and I'm going to colour in the leaves, and you'll see what I mean about the lines provide, like the raised lines of the embossing, make it really, really easy to stay inside those lines and to colour beautifully. So even though they're very small, just a little dab in each one, and it's going to follow that line and make it look like the leaf shape is correct. Whoops, I got that one just outside. If you do get them just outside, don't worry. It's not a big deal. I noticed my daughter, while I was in the middle of this video, my daughter came and got my card. And has taken the car and my card, so I'm assuming she's gone to the shops, probably gone to buy some milk, because I think we're out. So it's very strange now that I've got a daughter who's old enough to go out and take herself off to the shops or wherever she wants. All right, so you can see we've done all our little leaves here. Now, some of the colour that we've just applied is sitting on top of the embossing, and that's easy fixed. You just get yourself a little bit of paper towel and just gently wipe that over so that it's not sitting on top of those embossed areas. And I hope you can see that okay. The leaves look really great. And because some of them are darker, some of them are lighter, just depending on how soon after I picked up the extra ink that happened. All right, so the next color I'm going to use is Coastal Cabana. If you want a lighter color, you could also use Pool Party. If you want a darker color, you could use Bermuda Bay. But I'm just going to use Coastal Cabana because I think it's a nice color for the earth. And I'm also going to just get rid of that green, push some water through, and now there's no more color left on my water painter. All right, so now I'm going to come inside here, and once again, those lines, those raised lines, are going to help me stay inside. So it actually is like a really great way of doing very neat watercoloring, because the embossed images largely resist the watercolor, so you won't have much of a problem with, and like it does just wipe off if you do get any on top of the lines. But I like the white in particular because I think it gives us a really fresh appearance against all these, against the image. So it's really lovely. So come back in, get a bit more darker color. And if some of it's darker and lighter, that kind of looks nice. Looks like, you know, the water of the earth, which is different colors in different places. If you look at a globe, it's not all the uniform same color usually. I mean, the old globes were, but these days they're much more realistic. And you can see here I'm just coming around. And this little, this has got kind of an environmental feel about it, you know, an environmental message, this little earth with the leaves. And I really like the stamp set because it, you know, it says begin with a dream. Kindness changes the world, one heart at a time. Every great dream begins with a dreamer. And this one that says you make a difference, which is the one I'm going to use today. And I think that's a really, really nice one because it matches this beautifully. I'm also going to use crumb cake, or you could use soft suede if you wanted to for the stand, for the wooden stand. I'm just going to use the end of this one, clean off my brush, push some water through. There we go. And pick up a little bit of, and can you see how those little lines, like the little, the measuring lines on this, I don't even know, what do you call this? This extra bit that goes around the earth or the globe, even though you've got all those little bits that have resisted the ink, and so it shows you that detail. Same with this. I'm going to and then push a bit of water through and do the other side. There we go, just like that. Which looks really, really good, doesn't it? I really like this. Okay, I'm happy with that. Now, that's quite wet. I could leave it to dry. I could hit it with the heat tool, or I can just blot it. In this case, I'm just going to blot it. All right, and that's looking great. Now, you might notice I did my trick again. You can actually, did use some soft sea foam around the edges here because I thought that looked rather nice, but we don't have to do that. What do you think? If I put this card together, so I've got some soft sea foam on this background piece from the Splendid Day DSP, and then the other side of it, it's the same piece, just one side like that. And we've got this here, which I think looks rather nice. Or you could sponge around with a blending brush, and I use, like I said, the soft sea foam, and that's there. But I'm actually going to do it, I think, today just on this plain piece. So let's put these pieces, let's put this card together, okay? Really simple to do. I've got my measurements, of course, are in the PDF. And I'm going to pop that piece there. And the reverse side of that same piece. Just like that. Isn't this beautiful paper? It's actually, this has got an embossed image on it, and that's a white embossed kind of image as well, which is really nice. All right, so let's pop this kind of in the middle there. And I think on dimensionals would be good. So these stitch rectangles are fantastic. They're another really great set for someone who is looking to know what dies are useful. Super, super useful. The stitch rectangles, I love them. And then we have this. Oh, I just used the wrong one. I was going to use that one. I was going to put the white on. Huh. I guess we got green. Sorry, guys. We could put the white on over the top, but maybe I'll do that for another card. I might just do another one after this and then post them both for you to see them. I think they look really nice. And then I've also got this little Stitched Shapes banner, and I'm going to use on this one. And I think I'll go with Bermuda Bay, because Bermuda Bay is a little darker and will go really nicely with the Coastal Cabana. So I'm going to go with the You Make a Difference, and let's position that here so I can get right over it to get it straight. pretty straight, kind of straight. All right, and just like that. And I'm going to use a couple of mini dimensionals under that. One here and one here. You could add some ribbon or some bling. Of course, you could add bling. I know that we've got a couple of bling lovers in our group. And that would look really nice, but you make a difference. That's what it says. And then, of course, that will go on a basic white, thick piece of cardstock to complete the card. So let me grab my bone folder to flatten that down. Make sure it goes on the right way. Goodness me, I can't even tell you how many times I've done that and put my card front on upside down. It's never what we want to do, but sometimes it happens. Okay, just like that. And there it is. I don't know, do you think it would look better with the green background like I've used here, or do you think it looks better with the white? So we have both of them as an alternative, but I think the way this turns out with the white embossing coming like out against the color that we've applied over the top, this is a really beautiful technique, but it looks really good. Like, it looks super clever, and it looks like you've gone to lots of trouble. Actually, I think in many ways, if you like to do a bit of embossing and then watercoloring your image is actually easier because it helps you stay inside the lines, and that makes it really, really easy. Now, the other card I showed before, this one is the black embossing, and I use the In the Moment stamp set. That's this one here. You can see this little lady here with her looking out the window with her cuppa, and some really nice sentiments in that one. It's got You're in My Thoughts, which is the one I've used on here. But the paper I've used is the Lovely in Linen paper again, and I really like that one because I think the blue looks really, really good with her blue jeans, and it came together really nice. And that was exactly the same way as I did this one, but I embossed with black this time. So I hope that that has helped you understand how easy it is to use embossing and watercolor together. If you like these, give it a go because it's a really fun card to do. I'm going to move on to the next video, and I have something else to show you before we're done. So let's see how we go, but I hope you enjoyed this one.